A dramatic hearing has shaken Washington, pitting Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett against FBI Director Kash Patel in a case that blurs the boundaries between truth, power, and accountability. At the center of the storm is a declassified document, bearing Justice Barrett's own signature, that exposes a once-hidden illegal surveillance program. This revelation, brought forward by a courageous whistleblower, threatens to unravel a complex web of secrets long thought buried. Allegations point to an NSA cover-up, and the courtroom descends into chaos as the system's foundations come under intense scrutiny. What begins as a search for truth quickly transforms into a wake-up call about the fragile trust underpinning America's power structure. Before we dive deeper, let us know where you're tuning in from, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss updates on this unfolding story. A nation shaken by surveillance leaks. A recent leak has exposed the National Security Agency's involvement in an illegal surveillance operation that has stunned the country. According to the explosive documents, journalists, opposition leaders, and even ordinary citizens were unlawfully targeted. The backlash has been swift and fierce, igniting widespread public outrage. In response to mounting pressure, Congress established the Special Committee on National Security Transparency to investigate the full scope of the program. As the investigation unfolds, the nation's attention turns to a high-profile courtroom in the heart of the Capitol. Security is tight, metal detectors, undercover agents, and a sea of protesters surround the courthouse. Presiding over the proceedings is Justice Amy Coney Barrett, selected for her unwavering independence and deep command of constitutional law. Calm and focused, she now finds herself at the center of a politically charged legal firestorm. Opposite her stands Kash Patel, now FBI director and formerly a top advisor to President Trump. Patel has ignited controversy by releasing a series of declassified documents linked to the surveillance program, putting him in direct confrontation with the establishment and the justice system itself. Wearing a simple gray suit, Kash Patel steps into the courtroom with quiet confidence, like a man holding a trump card. His composed presence commands immediate attention, and the room falls into a tense hush. Cameras pivot and zoom, locking in on Patel and Justice Amy Coney Barrett, who sits at the bench with steely resolve. Breaking the silence, Barrett speaks, her tone clear and resolute. "Mr. Patel," she begins, "this committee insists on full transparency. We need you to disclose the source of the declassified documents. This is not negotiable." Patel offers a faint smile, eyes locked with Barrett's. "I understand, Your Honor," he says calmly. But sometimes, the truth arrives in ways that surprise even those demanding it. The courtroom is brightly lit, yet the tension hangs heavy, like a storm ready to erupt. Barrett leans in slightly, her voice cutting through the thick air. "This committee is here to investigate serious claims of NSA surveillance overreach. Your documents sparked a national controversy. Now we need to know where they came from. Who leaked them to you?" Patel tilts his head, expression unreadable. "With all due respect, Your Honor, you're asking me to name those who risked everything to expose abuse of power. Shouldn't we be asking why those documents were hidden to begin with?" A murmur rolls through the room. Journalists scribble frantically. Cameras snap. The air buzzes with suspense. Senator Carter leans into his microphone, voice sharp. "This isn't your stage, Patel. You're here to answer, not deliver monologues. Or are you just another puppet for the White House?" Patel turns to Carter, his voice steady and unshaken. "Senator, I don't serve any administration. I serve the American people. My loyalty is to the truth. And if we're talking puppets, look at the analysts who were threatened for exposing how our government treats its own citizens." Senator Hayes nods slowly, a faint smile playing on his lips. "Well said, Mr. Patel. But don't dance around the question. Justice Barrett wants names. Are you refusing to cooperate?" Before Patel can answer, Barrett raises her hand, silencing Hayes. "Senator, I'll handle this." She leans forward, her voice firm but laced with gravity. "Mr. Patel, no one is above the law. Refusing to name your source challenges the authority of this committee. I'll ask again, who gave you those documents?" Patel sits up straighter. The ease in his demeanor vanishes, replaced by laser-sharp intensity. "I'm not refusing, Your Honor. I'm protecting. The people who came to me did so knowing the risks because they've seen what unchecked power does. I've witnessed evidence manipulated, surveillance abused, dissent silenced in the name of national security. That's why I'm here." Gasps echo through the chamber. Camera shutters flick rapidly. In the back row, Sarah, a seasoned Washington Post reporter, types with urgency. She's long suspected Patel of being a political opportunist, but his conviction surprises her. She fires off a tweet. Patel challenges Barrett mid-hearing. Tension erupts. Absolute chaos. It goes viral within seconds. Senator Carter scoffs, tossing his pen down with a theatrical flair. Nice performance. But you're not a whistleblower. You're cherry-picking documents to sell a narrative. Name your source, or we'll assume you're hiding something. Patel clenches his jaw but keeps his composure. Think what you will, Senator. The documents speak for themselves. Illegal surveillance, sanctioned at the highest levels of government, targeted voices that dare to speak the truth. As Kash Patel stands before the committee, he delivers a chilling reminder. If you're more concerned with who leaked the information than the crimes it exposes, maybe you're the one spinning the narrative. A brief chuckle escapes Senator Hayes, drawing a sharp glare from Carter. Justice Amy Coney Barrett maintains her usual composure, but a subtle tremble in her fingers betrays a flicker of unease. With a sharp crack of her gavel, the tension peaks. Enough, Mr. Patel, she says firmly. You've made your position clear. But this committee deals in evidence, not rhetoric. If you have proof, present it now. Patel nods deliberately. Gladly, Your Honor. But understand this. What I'm about to show you isn't just evidence. It's a mirror. And not everyone is ready to see their reflection. The courtroom falls into a heavy silence. Even the clatter of typing halts. Sarah, the Washington Post reporter who's been covering Patel for weeks, freezes, sensing the gravity of the moment. In the gallery, a young aide whispers to a colleague, he's got something big. And he does. Patel's hand brushes over a slim folder resting on the table, his fingers lingering, as if weighing the explosive impact of what's inside. Across the room, Justice Barrett narrows her eyes. Proceed, Mr. Patel, she says, her voice controlled but edged with warning. This committee does not entertain theatrics. Patel meets her gaze, his tone respectful but resolute. No theatrics, Your Honor. Just the truth. He taps the folder. The soft sound echoes like distant thunder. And this truth, he continues, will change everything. Senator Carter folds his arms tightly, skepticism etched into every line of his face. Across the table, Senator Hayes leans in, anticipation gleaming in her eyes. The gallery holds its breath. Every lens zooms in on Patel's hand, poised over the folder. Sarah keeps her fingers hovering above the keyboard, ready to capture history in real time. Outside, protesters' chants beat like war drums against the courthouse walls. Justice Barrett adjusts her glasses, her expression firm, though her patience is visibly thinning. Then show us, Mr. Patel, she says quietly. Present your evidence. The air in the room thickens, the silence now deafening, interrupted only by the soft clicks of cameras and shallow breaths. Sunlight cuts through high windows, casting sharp lines across the polished marble floor, where all eyes remain locked on Patel. He doesn't move. His thumb glides slowly across the folder's edge, almost reverently, savoring the moment. On the bench, Barrett's lips press into a tight line. Despite her calm exterior, she knows Patel holds more than documents. He holds the direction of this hearing, and perhaps even its fate. The committee fractures. Where unity once stood, division now festers. Senator Carter leans forward, bracing for confrontation. Senator Hayes, arms crossed, waits like an eager spectator at the theater's climax. In the corner, Sarah types furiously, her pulse rising with every word. Barrett leans forward, her tone sharp and commanding. Mr. Patel, this committee has given you more than enough time. If you continue to withhold your source, I may be forced to consider this obstruction. So I ask again, what evidence do you have to support your claims? Patel lifts his gaze, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes. Not defiance, not pride, but a quiet conviction. Obstruction, Your Honor? I'm not obstructing. I'm protecting. The people who brought this to light did so knowing they were up against a machine designed to crush dissent. I'm here because their courage deserves more than silence. The NSA analysts who came forward, those are my sources, Patel says, his voice steady. And if you want evidence, I'll give you something more powerful than names. Before he can continue, Senator John Carter snaps, his voice low and aggressive. Don't dodge the question, Patel. This isn't a game. Without names, your testimony is meaningless. Senator Lisa Hayes smirks, leaning back in her chair. Let him speak, John. Or are you afraid the truth might make you uncomfortable? Carter flushes with anger, turning sharply. Don't start with your cheap conservative jabs, Lisa. This is a legal proceeding, not a stage for Trump loyalists. Justice Amy Coney Barrett slams her gavel, the sound cutting through the rising chaos like a blade. Enough. Senators, maintain order. She turns her attention back to Patel, eyes sharp and unwavering. Mr. Patel, we deal in facts. If you have evidence, place it on the table. Now. Patel nods slowly, deliberately. As you wish. He opens the slim folder before him, revealing a single sheet of paper, its contents still hidden. Then he pauses. Before I reveal this, he says, voice calm but firm, I have one question. Does this committee truly want the truth, or just a convenient conclusion to close the file? The room falls utterly silent. Sarah, the Washington Post reporter, stops typing mid-sentence. Another journalist in the back whispers, he's going all in. The tension ripples across the room like an unseen wave. Carter slams his hand on the table. Don't lecture us, Patel. Who do you think you are, sitting there preaching? Show the document, or I'll move to hold you in contempt. Hayes lets out a dry, cutting laugh. Relax, John. If he's bluffing, the document will expose him. Or maybe you're afraid he's not. Patel raises a hand, signaling calm. His gaze stays locked on Barrett. I'm not here to provoke, Senator Carter, but I'm not here to placate either. What I'm about to show this committee is not just evidence. It's the answer to Justice Barrett's question, and perhaps to one she didn't expect to ask. Barrett takes a deep breath, her fingers now tightly clasped on the bench. Mr. Patel, I'm not concerned with expectations. This committee operates by the law. Present your document and allow us to evaluate its claims. Patel nods once, no hint of a smile this time. Fair enough, Your Honor. He lifts the sheet slowly, the courtroom lights catching the bold stamp at the top, declassified. The room collectively holds its breath. This document, Patel begins, was buried in the Justice Department's archives last year. It exposes an illegal surveillance program, authorized from the very top levels of power, and it directly implicates this court. The courtroom erupts into gasps. Reporters type furiously. Sarah's fingers fly over the keys as her tweet goes live. Breaking. Patel holds up declassified document implicating the court in surveillance scandal. Unprecedented moment. Hashtag NSA hashtag Barrett news cameras zoom in on Patel's hand, capturing every word and detail on the sheet. Carter leaps from his seat, finger pointed. This is fabrication. There's no link to this court. You're staging a stunt to deflect from your lack of real proof. Hayes doesn't miss a beat. Sit down, John. If it's fake, it'll fall apart under scrutiny. But if it's real, what are you so afraid of? Justice Barrett slams the gavel again, harder this time. Her calm facade is cracking. Order. Mr. Patel, if this document involves the court, explain clearly. And be warned, false claims carry consequences. Patel doesn't flinch. He locks eyes with Barrett. I understand, Your Honor. But I'm not making false claims. I'm not here to accuse. I'm here to reveal. This is the truth. And it's time everyone sees it. This truth, Patel says, voice steady, will force everyone in this room to confront themselves. He places the paper gently on the table, his fingertip tapping its surface with quiet finality. You asked for evidence, here it is. But be prepared. What you're about to see will upend everything you think you know. The courtroom feels suspended in time, wrapped in a charged silence where every glance carries weight and every sound cuts like glass. Light streams through high windows, casting cold lines across Justice Amy Coney Barrett's face. Her hands remain tightly clasped, but her index finger trembles, a subtle sign of the storm she holds back. Her eyes never leave Patel. He holds a single sheet of paper. At the top, the word declassified gleams under the courtroom lights. The contents remain concealed, for now. Patel doesn't rush. He's a strategist, a man playing the final move of a long, high-stakes game. Across from him, the committee sits fractured, no longer unified, but visibly split. Senator John Carter grips the edge of the table, face red, jaw clenched in disbelief. Beside him, Senator Lisa Hayes leans forward, the faint curl of a smirk suggesting she's witnessing the climax of a slow-burning drama. In the corner, Sarah from the Washington Post clutches her laptop, fingers hovering, her pulse synced with the gravity of the moment. The entire gallery, reporters, aides, onlookers, sits motionless, transfixed. Cameras stay trained on Patel's hand, waiting. Justice Barrett draws in a deep breath. When she speaks, Her tone has lost its usual calm. It's sharper now, commanding. Mr. Patel, this committee has waited long enough. If you have a document, place it on the table and explain it. Spare us the theater. Patel's expression is calm, but resolute. This is no performance, Your Honor. Only the truth. And this truth, he says, turning the paper so the text faces Barrett, requires everyone here to look in the mirror. He slides the sheet forward. This is a Justice Department memo, approved 2 years ago. It authorized an illegal surveillance operation targeting journalists, opposition candidates, and everyday Americans. And Justice Barrett, he pauses, it bears your signature. A collective gasp escapes the gallery, followed by a silence that swallows the room whole. Barrett blinks for the first time during the hearing. Her composure falters. She leans forward, staring at the document as if willing it to disappear. This is impossible, she whispers, her voice unsteady. I never approved anything illegal. Patel nods, as if he expected the denial. I believe you. You didn't knowingly authorize it. But your signature is on a FISA warrant, one the Justice Department later exploited to hide the illegal surveillance. You were used, like so many others in this system. He opens the folder again and removes a second sheet. This is a buried report from an NSA whistleblower, dated just after your warrant was signed. It lists the targets, a respected investigative journalist, a congressional candidate, and dozens of ordinary citizens, none with criminal records. The reaction is immediate. Murmurs rise like a wave crashing through the courtroom. Sarah types furiously, her breaking tweet already spreading like wildfire. Patel reveals memo with Barrett's signature linked to illegal surveillance. Courtroom in shock. Hashtag NSA, hashtag Barrett, news cameras pivot. Barrett's face has gone pale. Patel, meanwhile, remains still, like a man who has just played his final, decisive card. Carter explodes from his seat, finger jabbing toward Patel. This is a fraud. A political stunt to smear a Supreme Court justice. That document is fake, and I demand immediate verification. Hayes lets out a cold laugh, her words sharp and deliberate. Sit down, John. If it's fake, it'll fall apart. But maybe you're worried it's real. Barrett slams her gavel, her tension now fully visible. Order. Mr. Patel, if this document implicates the court, you must explain clearly. And be warned, baseless claims will not be tolerated. Patel doesn't flinch. His voice remains calm, his gaze locked on hers. I'm not making accusations, Your Honor. I'm presenting the truth. And now it's in your hands. If it's fake, let him dig his own grave, Hayes says coldly. But look at your face, John. You're afraid it's real. Justice Amy Coney Barrett raises her hand for silence. Her voice, once composed, now carries clear tension. Mr. Patel, you are making a serious accusation. If this document is legitimate, explain how my signature came to be on it. And let me be clear, this committee will not tolerate lies. Patel calmly opens the folder again, revealing a third document. I'm not lying, Your Honor. This, he holds up a printed email, is a message sent from your office to the Office of Legal Counsel. It requests a delay in releasing whistleblower reports due to politically sensitive timing. The date? Immediately after the FISA warrant bearing your signature was approved. Would you like me to read it aloud? The room explodes into chaos. Shouts rise from the audience. Committee members bang fists against the table, and a reporter calls out, demanding the documents be photographed for verification. In the media section, Sarah from the Washington Post stares at her screen, her face pale. Her message to her editor flashes out. Patel has an email from Barrett's office. This is a bombshell. Justice Barrett's grip tightens on the table, her knuckles white. Hand me those documents, she says. Her voice is low, almost a whisper, but laced with urgency. Patel slides the 3 sheets toward her slowly, deliberately, as if handing over sacred artifacts. They're yours, Your Honor. Legally declassified. Verified by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. I'm not here to accuse you. I'm here to expose a system that exploits even those at the top to hide its crimes. Carter stands, shouting over the noise. This is a conspiracy. A stunt to smear the judiciary and protect your allies. We should shut this down immediately. But Hayes slams her hand on the table, her voice cutting through the uproar like a whip. Sit down, John. If he's lying, it'll be proven. But if he's telling the truth, maybe you're the one who should be worried. For the first time, Barrett doesn't reach for her gavel. Instead, she stares at the documents in front of her, at the memo, the whistleblower report, the damning email. Her eyes flicker between disbelief and something deeper, fury, maybe, or fear. Mr. Patel, she says at last, her voice trembling but controlled. You're suggesting that I, an associate justice of the Supreme Court, was used to authorize an illegal surveillance operation. Do you understand the weight of that claim? Patel leans forward, his tone sharper than ever. I understand, Your Honor, and I understand the weight of a system that manipulates good people to protect itself. I'm not targeting you. I'm targeting the ones who used your name as a shield. But the truth is here, and it demands to be faced. The courtroom dissolves into chaos. Committee members argue across party lines. Protesters shout. Cameras flash. Sarah sends one last tweet. Patel just flipped the hearing. Barrett is cornered. Everything's changed. Barrett rises slowly, the papers still in her hands. Her voice cuts through the noise with the full authority of her office. This committee will recess. I need time to review these documents. The tension bursts like a dam. The room descends into a storm of shouting and frantic movement. Reporters race to send updates. Aides whisper frantically. Protesters outside can be heard chanting louder, as if sensing a seismic shift. Barrett stands firm in the eye of the storm, still holding the 3 pages as though they carry the weight of the Republic. Her face is pale, her eyes wide, but her shoulders are straight, and her voice, though shaken, still holds. Patel sits quietly, watching her, not with victory, but with resolve. The damage has been done. The truth is out. And now, the system must reckon with it. Senator Carter, red-faced and seething, slams the table one final time. This is a sick joke. I demand this committee investigate the source of those documents. Hayes doesn't blink. She stares him down, her voice like steel. Then verify them, John. If he's lying, expose him. But if he's not, you've got more to worry about than just Patel. Justice Barrett raises her hand once more, trying to restore order, but it's clear, the courtroom will never be the same. Her voice, sharp but shaking like a taut wire stretched to its breaking point, cuts through the uproar. Enough. This committee will review the documents, but I expect everyone here to remain calm and respect the process. But her demand vanishes under the roar of the room. Order has slipped beyond her grasp. Reporters and aides no longer stay seated. Many rise, phones raised high, their flashes firing like a battlefield of strobe lights. In the corner, Washington Post journalist Sarah types furiously, her face caught in a mix of anticipation and disbelief. She fires off a tweet. Barrett calls for recess, but chaos reigns. Patel drops a bombshell. The courtroom's gone rogue. Within seconds, her post explodes, thousands of shares, the digital world ablaze. Sarah looks up and sees Barrett, once the unshakable pillar of authority, now diminished, nearly engulfed by the storm swirling around her. Sarah wonders, is this a wound Barrett can survive? Or is it the moment that will rewrite her legacy? Inside Barrett's mind, a silent war rages. Her eyes rest on the memo. Her signature glares back at her like a betrayal carved in ink. She remembers the FISA warrants, stacks of dense files, handed to her with assurances that they safeguarded national security. Was she used? Deceived? Or is this all political theater designed to destroy her? Anger wells up, not at Patel, but at a system so deeply broken it could entangle even a Supreme Court justice in its web. Still, she reveals nothing. Her expression remains firm, but her hands tremble as she turns the page. Across the room, Kash Patel exudes calm, unnervingly so. He surveys the chaos like a man standing on a summit, watching the storm churn below. Carter rages on, labeling Patel a traitor. But Patel leans into the mic, his voice low but unwavering. Senator, I haven't betrayed anyone. These documents were legally declassified, confirmed by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. If you're looking for traitors, start with those who spied on American citizens without cause. A small ripple of applause breaks out, led by Senator Lisa Hayes, clapping slowly, defiantly. A few in the gallery even chuckle. Carter, his face flushed with fury, whirls toward her. You're applauding a saboteur. This is an assault on democracy. No, Hayes replies, her tone icy and precise. This is an assault on the secrets you've spent years trying to bury. Let him speak. Barrett raises her gavel again. This time the sound lands flat, powerless against the rising storm. I've said all I can. This committee will recess for document review. She glances at Patel, not just with anger, but with something deeper, the sting of betrayal, the ache of realization. Mr. Patel, if any part of this is false, you will be held accountable. Patel nods, unflinching. I'm prepared to take responsibility, Your Honor. But I'm not the one who should be worried. The system has been digging its own grave for years. The room detonates in another wave of noise. Reporters surge toward the security line, cameras aiming for the documents now spread before Barrett. A young aide shouts, "This is history." Heads nod in agreement, eyes wide with the weight of the moment. Outside, the protesters' chants grow louder, thudding like war drums through the stone walls. Sarah's hands tremble as she finishes her story draft. She sends a message to her editor. Urgent, go live now. Patel just turned everything upside down. Barrett is unraveling. Then, from the edge of the chaos, a voice rises, measured, unexpected. Senator David Tran, long considered the quiet centrist of the committee, speaks for the first time. His tone is calm, but cuts through the noise like a blade through silk. Senator David Tran leaned forward, voice steady but edged with skepticism. Mr. Patel, you say these documents were legally declassified. But can you prove they weren't fabricated? This committee needs certainty, not theatrics. Patel turned calmly to Tran, his tone precise and unshaken. Senator, every document presented today has been reviewed and verified by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. I didn't bring anything into this room that wasn't vetted. If the committee wishes, I can provide the declassification logs immediately. Tran nodded slowly, though his eyes remained cautious. We'll review them. But you must understand, what you've set in motion doesn't just impact this committee. It shakes the very foundation of the judiciary. Patel offered a faint smile, not a victory, but like someone who has passed the point of no return. I understand, Senator. That's precisely why I'm doing this. Because the judiciary should never be used as a shield for those who abuse power. The room erupted. Applause broke out from one corner of the gallery before security swiftly silenced it. At the front, Justice Amy Coney Barrett gripped the stack of documents in her hands. Her face bore the fatigue of someone who just lost control, not only of the room, but of the story now spiraling beyond these walls. Social media had already seized the narrative. Patel's reveal had gone viral. Tweets, live streams, headlines, all of it surging like a digital tsunami. In the corner, Sarah typed another update. Patel stands firm. Barrett calls recess, but no one's listening. The hearing has detonated. This is seismic. She glanced up at Barrett, who now looked smaller, isolated in the eye of a storm she couldn't contain. For the first time, Sarah felt something akin to sympathy, not for the power Barrett represented, but for the human being suddenly caught in an unwinnable storm. Barrett slammed the gavel once more. The committee is now in recess. Her voice cracked, barely cutting through the chaos. The crowd continued shouting. Committee members bickered. Patel remained still, eyes fixed on Barrett, like a man who knew that once the truth was set free, it couldn't be recaged. Miles away, the whistleblower watches in a dim Virginia apartment. Far from Capitol Hill, Emma Carter sat curled on a couch, her laptop screen casting a pale light over her sleepless face. Her hands clutched a cold mug of coffee, but her eyes were locked on the live stream from the hearing. The headline screamed, Kash Patel drops declassified bombshell. Judiciary shaken. Her heart pounded. Emma was the whistleblower, the one who had leaked the documents to Patel. Relief and terror collided in her chest. The truth was out, but so was she. Her apartment was a bunker now. Thick curtains blocked the windows. Her phone sat dismantled on the table. She had moved 3 times in the past month, ever since sending the classified data to Patel through an encrypted channel. She'd once believed in her role at the NSA, proud of her contribution to national security. But everything changed the day she uncovered an illegal surveillance program, not tracking threats, but monitoring journalists, candidates, and everyday Americans. The target list chilled her, not criminals, but dissenters. She had reported it up the chain. The response? Delete the files. Stay quiet. She hadn't. Instead, she had copied the documents and contacted Patel, hoping he had the spine to bring them into the light. Now he had. Last week, she received an anonymous email, "Stay quiet or your family will pay." She'd warned Patel. He promised protection. But in the silence of her apartment, that promise felt paper-thin. When the doorbell suddenly rang, she froze, her hand shaking as she checked the camera feed. No one. Just a delivery truck rolling by. Still, the fear lingered. Back in Washington, another game unfolds in a high-rise near NSA headquarters. Intelligence Director Robert Klein sat in a sterile conference room, eyes locked on a monitor playing footage of Patel's bombshell testimony. Klein's face was stone, his fingers tapping a slow rhythm on the glass table. "Where did he get the data?" he asked, voice quiet but cutting. "Who leaked it? Find them and discredit him now." Across the table, advisor Clara Evans opened a sleek laptop. "We've prepared a countermeasure. We'll leak a false source, claim Patel fabricated the files for political gain. The media will pick it up within the hour." Clean didn't look at her. "Make sure there's no trail. If the whistleblower is revealed, we lose more than credibility." He stared back at the monitor, at Patel holding the documents like a torch in a pitch-black tunnel. "We can't let him set this fire. Contain it. Or bury it." Unaware of the danger closing in, Klein doesn't realize that the real threat lies hundreds of miles away, in the hands of the whistleblower, Emma, who holds the key to his downfall. In her secluded apartment, Emma opens an encrypted email from a secret contact, Sarah, the Washington Post reporter. Sarah, who watched the hearing unfold from the gallery, had reached out after hearing whispers about the surveillance program. Her message is short but urgent. Patel just shook the committee. "I need confirmation on the documents from the source. Is it safe to communicate?" Emma hesitates, fingers hovering above the keyboard. She knows that replying could put her in even greater peril, yet the truth demands protection. Finally, she types swiftly, "The documents are genuine. I'm the source. But I need assurances for my safety." Her heart pounds as she hits send. Minutes later, Sarah replies, "I'll safeguard your identity. Send proof, and I'll publish. We'll bring them down." Emma accesses a hidden drive, copies a file containing surveillance logs, and sends it, fully aware that this single act could alter everything or end her life. Meanwhile, Klein's scheme begins to unravel. One of Clara Evans' planted articles accusing Patel of fabricating documents is caught by Sarah before publication. She contacts a trusted editor at the Washington Post, who confirms the source traces back to an NSA-linked account. Using Emma's evidence, Sarah crafts a counterattack, a detailed expose revealing the smear campaign against Patel and verifying the document's authenticity. Scheduled for release immediately after the hearing, this article promises to drop a second bombshell. Back in her apartment, Emma closes her laptop as the room grows dim. She peeks through a crack in the curtains, watching the darkness swallow the outside world. Yet inside, she feels a flicker not of safety, but of resolve. The truth she risked everything for is spreading. Though on different fronts, Patel, Sarah, and Emma are united in challenging a system that once seemed untouchable. Beyond the courtroom's thick walls, the Capitol simmers like a volcano after an earthquake. Protesters flood the streets outside Congress, brandishing signs and chanting slogans. Some shout, "Truth must win." Beneath Patel's image, others demand, "Protect justice." The roar of megaphones, honking car horns, and pounding feet merge into a chaotic symphony, echoing a nation divided, standing at a crossroads. On social media, Patel's video revealing the documents amasses tens of millions of views within hours. Hashtags race to dominate trending lists, the digital pulse matching the real-world upheaval. Inside a private office at the Supreme Court, Amy Coney Barrett sits with her colleagues, Justices Neil Gorsuch and Samuel Alito. The soft glow of a desk lamp casts shadows over her tired face. Her hands rest on the controversial documents, fingers tracing her own signature like it's a wound she wishes to erase. "I had no idea the FISA warrant was abused," she murmurs, voice barely above a whisper. "But my signature is here. How do I explain this to the public?" Gorsuch leans forward, calm as ever. "Amy, you don't have to explain. The FISA system is complicated, and you are only one link in the chain. But the public won't care about the nuances. They'll only see the headline, 'Barrett tied to illegal surveillance.' We need a united front." Alito's tone is sharper, cutting through the room. "Patel targeted you specifically to weaken the court. We cannot let him succeed." Barrett shakes her head, eyes heavy with pain. "This isn't about winning or losing. It's about trust. If the public believes we're hiding the truth, our entire legacy crumbles." She rises and walks to the window, gazing down at the sea of protesters below. She knows a public statement is inevitable. But every word she utters will be scrutinized, twisted, and used as a weapon against her. At last, she resolves, "I'll call for an independent investigation. If I was manipulated, I need to know by whom." A few blocks away, in a high-rise office at FBI headquarters, Patel stands by the window, his eyes fixed on the restless city below. Maria Lopez, a trusted advisor, enters holding a tablet filled with media analysis. "Boss, social media is exploding. Half are calling you a hero, the other half say you're a saboteur. But Sarah's article is about to drop. It confirms your documents are genuine, and exposes the NSA's smear campaign. Patel nods, though his gaze remains on the streets. Good. But this isn't over. The people behind the surveillance won't back down, they'll strike back harder. Maria hesitates, then lowers her voice. You got an anonymous call this morning. They warned if you don't stop, there'll be consequences. Patel's eyes turn cold. They always threaten. He pauses, voice steady. But I'm not doing this for safety. I'm doing it for people like Emma, who risked everything so the truth could be revealed. At the Washington Post newsroom, Sarah sits in a cluttered corner, her laptop glowing with the draft of her article. The tentative headline reads, NSA's plot to smear Patel, the truth behind the declassified documents. She's meticulously verified Emma Carter's data and combined it with insider sources to expose the NSA's attempt to discredit Patel. The piece confirms the document's authenticity and names intelligence director Robert Klein as the architect of the smear campaign. Sarah knows this article will shock the nation, but she worries about Emma. She sends an encrypted message, articles going live. Are you safe? No reply. A chill runs down her spine. Public reaction intensifies. Activist groups, from civil liberties advocates to conservative factions, mobilize, each spinning the story to fit their narrative. Amid the crowd, a college student holds a sign that reads, "Truth doesn't need permission." The image goes viral, becoming a rallying symbol for those who believe Patel shattered the government's wall of secrecy. But across the divide, another group clutches photos of Barrett, chanting, "Don't let politics destroy justice." The media war explodes, outlets split. Some hail Patel as a hero, others brand him a political opportunist. In a conference room at a civil liberties organization, lawyers scramble to prepare a lawsuit based on Patel's revelations. They argue the illegal surveillance program violates the Fourth Amendment and could trigger a landmark Supreme Court case, one where Barrett remains on the bench. A young lawyer, Lena Kim, whispers to a colleague, "If we win, the entire surveillance system will have to change." But how will Barrett handle being implicated? Back at the Supreme Court, Barrett rehearses a brief statement in the quiet press room. "I am committed to uncovering the truth about these documents. An independent investigation will proceed. I believe in transparency and accountability." As she steps away from the podium, her eyes betray the weight she carries, knowing her words will barely soothe the brewing public storm. A reporter shouts, "Will you resign?" Barrett offers no answer. Meanwhile, in his FBI office, Patel receives a message from Maria. Sarah's article just went live. Klein's named. He allows himself a brief smile, quickly fading. This victory is only the beginning. Men like Klein won't relinquish power easily, and Emma remains in grave danger. Patel picks up the phone and calls a security contact. "Find Emma Carter. Make sure she's safe." Though the initial storm from the hearing subsides, its aftershocks ripple through the streets, newsrooms, and halls of power. Kash Patel's documents didn't merely expose an illegal surveillance program, they ignited a fierce battle over trust between the public and institutions once considered untouchable. Amy Coney Barrett returns to the Supreme Court, her black robe feeling heavier than ever. The recent ordeal has left an indelible mark on her career, but she remains steadfast, ready to face future cases, many of which will likely challenge the very issues that Patel brought to light. Deep down, she vows to scrutinize every document bearing her signature, even if it means confronting the system that put her in this position. Meanwhile, Patel continues his mission at the FBI, emerging as a symbol for those demanding transparency and accountability. Yet every step he takes is shadowed by figures like Robert Klein, lurking quietly, waiting for their moment to retaliate. Emma Carter, the whistleblower who sparked it all, remains in hiding. But thanks to Sarah's fearless reporting, her story has become a beacon of courage and inspiration. The saga of Kash Patel and Amy Coney Barrett's hearing captures the deep fractures in American society today, where trust in institutions like the judiciary, intelligence agencies, and media is being pushed to its limits by accusations of abuse and secrecy. The details, the memo bearing Barrett's signature, Emma's whistleblower revelations, the NSA's smear campaign, and Sarah's counterattack in the press, highlight a harsh truth. Power often conceals reality, and only brave individuals can pull back the curtain. The chaos inside the courtroom, the fractured committee, and the fierce public reactions, from protests to viral social media debates, reflect today's polarized political climate. Each side views the truth through its own lens. Emma, threatened but unyielding, embodies everyday Americans risking everything for justice. Barrett, caught in a system that manipulated her, reminds us that even those at the highest levels can become pawns of bureaucracy. The takeaway? In America's complex reality, every individual must have the courage to question, to seek the truth, no matter the pressure from power or public opinion. Learn from Emma, who faced danger to share the truth with Patel and Sarah, who relentlessly verified and amplified it. Don't let political battles, like the fierce clashes between Carter and Hayes, drown out what really matters. As citizens, your role is vital. Support independent journalism, demand transparency from government, and protect whistleblowers who risk everything to expose wrongdoing. Ultimately, as Patel reminds us, the truth doesn't need permission, but it does need people willing to stand up and be heard. Subscribe to the channel to follow more stories that uncover hidden truths, like the journey of Patel and Barrett. Thank you for watching. See you next time with new secrets revealed.